off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Advice, I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. Did you have that on? Do you want to start it? It wasn't on, right? Sorry about that. We're going to try it one more time, Frank. And welcome.
We're on.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you know what? We're going to start it over again one more time. Sorry about that, Frank. The good news about pre-recording is we can start over.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get you on for a year and a half. It finally happens, and I'm stuck in traffic.
So no intro, just straight to the conversation?
Straight to the
Okay,
straight to the applause.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
And here we go. And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then syndicated everywhere on iHeartRadio, CNBC, and I'm here to splatter you with more hope and happiness. So, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words. No Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end. And if you've missed any of my interviews with my fabulous best-selling authors, Don Miguel Ruiz, Neil Donald Walsh, Marianne Williamson, to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, Don Wells, Potsy from Happy Days, Anson Williams, Corey Feldman from Stand By Me, and Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali, then please go to my YouTube, free subscribe, and you can watch those, as well as some of my red carpet interviews with John Travolta, Quincy Jones, Halle Berry, and more. So today is no exception. He's actually on my red carpet playlist, as well as you've seen him on my Facebook a lot because I've had the chance to meet him at various events, and he is truly one of a kind, beneficial presence on the planet with the work that he's done. When I do the interview, you'll know exactly. I'm sorry. When I do the introduction, you'll know exactly why. Frank Shankwitz is the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation in 1980 with a number of others, and has now grown to 64 chapters in the U.S., 36 international chapters covering 5 continents, and has granted over 300,000 wishes worldwide, with a wish being granted somewhere in the world on an average of 38 minutes. Frank has spoken at the Ohio State University, Harvard University, and has been featured in Forbes as one of the 10 top keynote speakers. Honors include the President's Call to Service Award, the Making a World of Difference, and the Ellis Island Medal of Honor Award. Without further ado, please welcome to my studio, Frank Shankwitz.
Hi. Happy to see you again.
Oh, it's so good to see you. And I'm going to see you this week as well. So I am excited to always bump into you because the work that you've done and watching you sort of embrace the work that you've done and now all the exciting things that are happening, I'm so happy for you. I hope you know that and feel that.
It's been a heck of a ride. I never expected it.
So let's start with that. I was going to ask you, as a high school student at Prescott High School in Arizona, did you ever think or believe that your life would be what it is now?
No, not at all. And even before that, I was raised very poor. We lived in the back of a car. We lived in tents.
Wow.
And when I was in grade school, in fact, my mother left me when I was in 7th grade. She said, I can't afford you anymore. But I had a little town in Seligman, Arizona. I had a mentor named Juan Delgadillo. In fact, he found a Mexican family that I could live with for a couple of years. And he taught me the purpose of giving back whenever you can and changing those negative things into positive things. And I just always appreciated the words that he gave me. And he also taught me the work ethic, the character, the integrity. And as I moved on to high school, but was you say Prescott, Arizona, I kept that with my coaches, again, mentoring me, helping me. And then my employer, I worked all through high school, would just give me that, again, that work ethic, and it led to several promotions. By the time I graduated high school, and I had rejoined my mother at that point, that I was making more money than she was and able to help her. Even though we didn't have a good relationship, she was still my mother, and I was able to help her.
Wow. I've never, in all the years that I've known you, I've never heard this part of the story. That is even more amazing, because I think some people think that, oh, you know, you're well off, and so you start a foundation to give back. But that is not the story at all. So
no, not at all. Not at all. It's a very poor existence. And then following high school, I went to the Air Force, again, because of the work ethic that Juan Delgadillo taught me, advanced right away. I was in Air Police, as they call it, but selected for several honor guards throughout the bases I was stationed at. And my most thrilling moment, I love world history, especially World War II, and follow Winston Churchill and his adventures quite excessively. And was on his honor guard, selected to be one of the on his honor guard when he was buried. And it's just such a thrill in my life.
Did you ever feel like, why me? I don't feel like it's not fair as a child growing up in that kind of a setting? And you said
not at all.
Not at all.
I was always thankful for everything that happened. And again, Juan Delgadillo mentioned about giving back. And people in town would feed me. They would bring beans and tortillas. They would help me out. And I was working as a dishwasher starting at 10 years old. But he said, Frank, when you can, give back. And that wasn't a popular term in the 50s. Juan, what do you mean give back? I don't have a thing.
Right.
Frank, you don't need money to give back. You can give back your time. An example, look at Mrs. Sanchez. She's always bringing you beans or tortillas. Look at her yard. It's full of weeds. You can go clean up that yard. Look at Mr. Ortega. They've got an old wrecked caboose from the Santa Fe line, and they're trying to make it to their home. You can help them. They're trying to paint that. You can go over and help them do that.
Wow.
You can give back your time.
Well, now I know why good things have happened to you, for sure. So tell me about the first wish. So what was going on? Some people may not know the whole story. I know most of the story, but I think it would be really interesting for our listeners, if you don't mind, one more time. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but
I'll give you the condensed version of it.
Okay.
And this was the inspiration for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, not the first wish.
Oh,
in
okay.
1980, I was a motorcycle officer with the Arizona Highway Patrol. And in fact, in the late 70s, there was a television show on NBC called Chips. That was very popular with the children. And Chips was about two California Highway Patrol motorcycle officers, Ponch and John. And for that age group, 7 to 14 or so, they just loved this show. And we would go, I was on a 10-man squad, worked the whole state of Arizona. We would go into towns, 2-man team, and our equipment and uniforms almost looked identical to California Highway Patrol. In fact, we initially trained in Sacramento with CHP. But now as we rode into town, the kids all of a sudden started be yelling, hey, Ponch, hey, John, and waving. And it was a great PR thing. We started going to the schools, talking about bicycle safety.
Okay.
And it just, again, a great PR thing. And then in 1980, our department was formed about a 7-year-old boy named Chris who had terminal leukemia. And his heroes were Ponch and John from that television show, Chips. And he told his mother, when I grow up, I wish I can be a motorcycle officer like Ponch and John. Her family contacted the Highway Patrol, said, is there any way he can meet a motorcycle officer? And I just happened to be the motorcycle officer that was chosen because of my work with the children all over the state of Arizona. And it was set up through the permission of his mother, his doctors, that his little boy's on IVs in the hospital. And he would be picked up on our state police helicopter, flown to our headquarters building, where I would be standing by to meet this little boy when he landed. And I had no idea what to expect. He'd just come off IVs, Marissa, and I figured our paramedics are going to help him out in a wheelchair or carry him or something.
Right.
The helicopter lands, door opens up, out jumps a little pair of red sneakers. runs over the motorcycle. Hi, I'm Chris. Can I get on your motorcycle?
Oh.
Of course you can.
Oh.
Now, he had watched Chips so often, he knew every button and switch because our equipment was identical. This is a siren. Here's a red light. I turn it on. This is what's in your saddlebag. It's the same as Punch has in his. The little boy just having so much fun.
Oh, that's so
Punching on
beautiful.
some Chips. And I'm looking at his mother, and she's crying, and I mean really sobbing.
Yeah,
I couldn't understand that.
sure.
Then it dawned on me, she has her typical 7-year-old back. He's not in a hospital. He's not dying. He's just having fun. And stuff.
Right.
And we were allowed to take the kids on a ride on a motorcycle in the parking lot during those years.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Chris, you want to go for a ride on a motorcycle? He got very nervous, very serious. No, his voice shook. And I said, well, I don't understand. You just rode on a helicopter.
Right.
He looked at me and he said, helicopters have doors. And we learned that doors were very important to Chris. Motorcycles didn't have doors.
Oh, that's
But then one of our sergeants came in a squad car. Do you want to help drive the squad car? Turn the red lights and siren. He jumped on the sergeant's lap because obviously the car
that had doors.
And around the parking lot was so much fun as he's chewing bubble gum. And he blew this big giant bubble. And I looked at his mother and I said, there's our little bubblegum trooper. She got a kick out of that. In fact, she wrote a book titled The Little Bubblegum Trooper that I think is still available on Amazon today.
Oh, that's great. I think my fabulous sound engineer just found a picture of that exact shot. He did.
But Chris went on that day to become the first and only honorary Highway Patrol motorcycle officer in the history of Arizona Highway Patrol, complete with his own badge, his own smoky hat, a helmet we gave him. And he got to go home that night. His doctor was with him and said, I don't understand. He can go home. His vitals are so good. But before he left, he kept rubbing the wings, motorcycle wings in my uniform. How do I be a motorcycle officer? And I was just telling him some of the things we had to do. And then he had to leave. The next morning, we got permission to go to Chris's house. We had a custom-made uniform made for him that night. Two ladies spent all night at the uniform shop making his uniform. I got permission to lead several motorcycles, squad cars into his neighborhood about 8 in the morning. Red lights and siren. You can imagine the neighbors, right?
Can't even imagine.
Chris comes running out. We hand him his uniform. He is just beaming. He runs and he comes out just strutting. Got on his smoky hat that we had given him. But he came over again and rubbed my wings. I want to be a motorcycle officer. That is my wish. That's the first time I heard that word, wish. I said, I was teasing him, if you could only had a motorcycle, Chris, we could set up some traffic cones here. I would test you right now to see if you could pass. Well, Chris is a step ahead of me. He runs in the house, comes riding on a little battery-operated motorcycle that his mother had got for him in place of a wheelchair. He's got on his helmet. He's got on the aviator glasses. His mother bought him a pair of what we call on a ranch the high top rubber mucking boots that looks like a motorcycle officer.
Right.
He goes through the cones. He comes back. Did I pass my test? Yes, you did, Chris. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. When do I get my wings? Well, the wings were custom made. I said, Chris, it'll take a couple days to get those wings. I'll order them right now. He got to stay home again that night. A couple days later, I pick up the wings. Just as I pick them up, I get a call from our dispatcher. Chris is in a hospital in a coma, probably not going to survive the day. I got permission to go to the hospital. As I walked in his room, his uniform is hanging right by his bed. Just as I pinned on those motorcycle wings, Chris came out of the coma. He looks at me, he starts smiling. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. His wish had become true. He asked for his uniform, he's rubbing the wings, he's giggling, he's showing his mother, and unfortunately, a couple hours later, he passed away. And I always like to think maybe those wings helped carry him to heaven. Now, our commanders contacted me and said, we have learned that Chris is going to be buried in a little town called Kewanee, Illinois. And we would like you and another motorcycle officer to go back and give him a full police funeral. We have lost a fellow officer. Remember, he was sworn in as an officer. And we did go back there. What's so amazing is our word of our mission got out. The TV stations in Chicago and Phoenix and so on are picking this up. As we approached Kewanee, Illinois, we were met by several Illinois State Police, City Police, County Police, who all helped give this little boy a full police funeral. He was buried in uniform. His grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper. But flying home to Arizona, I just started thinking, here's a little boy who had a wish, and we made it happen. Why can't we do that for other children? And that's when the idea of the foundation was born, maybe 35,000 feet over Kansas or something.
Wow. That's
all of this because of one little boy.
wow. I'm like bawling. Thank you very much, Frank. And I have to redo my makeup. I don't know.
Those are happy tears, right?
They're happy tears. And how moving. I'm like, I don't think I've heard the whole one. It's definitely not from you. I've read it, and thank you for sharing that complete story. And I'm going to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award right now. So that is a big applause for my Dr. Marissa. Not everybody gets that award, Frank, on the show. I knew I was going to give it to you, but I thought I was going to wait till the end. But I can't wait till the end of the show because that was just you're like a really good storyteller. When I talked to Stephanie, she's like, "Oh, he's got this down." I had no idea that I heard you on stage years ago, and this is your calling. You definitely are going to go around the world, because that's such an inspiring story.
And the biggest thing is when I was told, like I said, to always give back. Everyone can be a hero.
Right.
And I've got to see Juan Delgadillo a lot after that little town in Seligman. I go visit him, and he'd always just give me a hug, and he says, "Frank, you definitely gave back," and that meant so much to me.
Oh my goodness!
My father figure, my mentor.
That's beautiful. And is he still alive now?
No, unfortunately, he passed away several years ago.
Oh, but I'm sure he was super proud. And boy, you really took his words to heart and went all the way. And
such a neat thing is I'm still friends with the family, and they have it up in the little town called Seligman, Arizona, which is on old Route 66. A thing called the Snow Cap, which Juan built and developed. In fact, I helped him build it. But I say friends with the family, and his son is now running it. And I'm going to jump real quick to the movie we just completed.
Yes.
The character that plays Juan, they were going to give a different name, and I got the studio to agree to use a real name in his movie to honor his family.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And before I forget to do a station ID, if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who the great voice on the other line who just zoomed in the amazing story from the very beginning of how Make-A-Wish Foundation was started and how the idea started and the little boy and if you missed it and you're just tuning in, you have to rewind and listen because it's a beautiful story. It's, I'm going to have to do my makeup again. And I love the fact that even if you have a tough past, even if you don't grow up with what people think a healthy childhood like Frank did, that you can do amazing inspirational things. So I hope that anyone who's feeling sorry for themselves, who did grow up poor, is listening to this and knowing that you're destined to do great things if you don't wallow in things that have happened to you. Frank Shankwitz, a founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, is who I'm talking to today on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. And now let's go to the movie because I love this story. This is like part 2 of Wish's story. So I'll start it off by saying a mutual friend of ours who we're going to be speaking on his stage together. I don't know if you know that Greg asked me to hop on the other side out of the media box. And so I'm grateful for that. So I get to share a stage with the amazing Frank Shankwitz. I guess it's when we air this, it'll be tomorrow. So that is the coolest thing. And so Greg was introduced to you by, was it Ryan or was the other way around?
Introduced me by Clarissa Burt.
Clarissa Burt, who's also
Yes,
been on my
several years
show,
ago.
who's a fantastic, beautiful woman, also a beneficial presence on the planet, huge actress and model on 50 covers. So she introduced you to Greg.
Correct.
Okay. And Greg Reid is like everything. So I can't even summarize what he does, but he does this one event several times a year called Secret Knock. And that's one of the places that I met you. So Greg asks you, you tell me if this is the right part of the story. He loves you and was so impressed by you and your story on stage. He said to you, if you had a wish, Frank, what would that be? Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what did you say?
I just said I'd like my story to be told somehow, so that especially my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandson knows that I did something and they can also do something to, again, everybody can be a hero. It doesn't take money to be that hero, but just tell that story, get that story out.
Right. And Greg
approached me and he said, we're going to make this movie. And I said, well, no, you're not. And he said, yes, we are. And I thought they were talking a documentary. And he said, no, we're doing a full-length motion picture.
Right.
And that was 5 years ago. And what a journey that's been.
Yes. And Greg will be the first one to say, sometimes I say yes and not realizing, because he had no experience in the major movie industry. He had no idea what he was doing. And look at last month it finished.
Yes. And it's like I've been taught in college, and Greg even says, surround yourself with people smarter than you. And that's what he did for the movie. He got the people, he got the director, executive directors, just all the help he could get. He's not that ego type person where I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I want help in what I'm doing.
Right.
And we got this fantastic crew.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And several of the actors are friends of mine as well. The little Christian Gagnard is one of my favorite actors. He plays the
Michael is a character name, but he plays Chris.
Right.
The boy that passed away.
Right. And then Andrew Steele is you, right? When you were young.
Yeah, we had trouble casting me because we had to find my characters from 1950 to the 1980, and during that 1980 period, someone that was good looking like I was in that time. We had trouble. No.
And humble. Humble. Yes, Frank.
Andrew, from Australia. This is his first U.S. production he's been in, and this man worked so hard to do this. He not only, the biggest thing was the dialect. He had to get rid of that Aussie accent.
Right.
He worked with a dialect coach forever and ever. He had to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Then he had to go through police type motorcycle training, handling. I mean, this man worked.
Right. That's great. And now it's coming out. I know there's doing a screening this week at Secret Knocks. Do you know the schedule when it's going to be released to the mainstream?
Well, we don't have a schedule on that. On September 17th, they are doing a showing with several distributors in the LA area. Now, as I learned, you can make all the movies you want, but if a distributor doesn't pick it up, it's
right. Well,
there is so much interest in this movie, they had to rent a private theater to accommodate all the distributors that want to see this.
That's awesome. That's a very good sign. And I just know it's going to be great because it's a meaningful movie, which is, an oxymoron sometimes.
Well, again, the tagline of the movie is everyone can be a hero.
Yeah. And that is definitely a great marriage. I mean, definitely, that's my next question, but definitely a great message. So the next question is, and it's funny because I actually asked to see if your wife would like to also come on the show, and I was told no. she hates the spotlight, but I do want to find out because I know that she was also very instrumental and totally supportive of you, and I love stories, and I know you've been with her. So how did you meet your wife?
Well, she was a what we call traveling secretary for the Arizona Highway Patrol for our 10-man squad. Especially when we would the whole 10 of us would be in an area, at one time for supersaturation.
Uh-huh.
And she would do all the reports for us and this and that. And I didn't bring up the fact that I was killed in the line of duty and brought back to life.
What?
and-
Wait. Back up. When did this happen?
1978, I was, again, Arizona Highway Patrol motorcycle officer in a high-speed chase with a drunk driver. Another drunk driver pulled right in front of me. I couldn't break and escape in time, hit him broadside at 80 miles an hour, and was pronounced dead at the scene. My partner tried to bring me back. He couldn't do it. They called in the code 963A, officer killed in the line of duty. An off-duty emergency room nurse from California stopped and said, please allow me, please let me try and bring him back. They said, well, go ahead, but he's dead. We have nothing. For 4 minutes, she worked on me. Obviously, we're talking, and brought me back to life.
Wow.
But it was severe injuries, a traumatic brain injury, skull fracture, broken bones, a lot of missing skin. And the little town that we were at didn't have really a hospital, just a clinic. And they had to put me in the motel. We couldn't get the helicopter to fly me back to Phoenix quick enough. And they said somebody has to stay with him for the next day or two to make sure he doesn't go into shock.
Oh my goodness.
That's when, and I knew Kitty. I mean, we had known each other, but never anything romantic. But during that particular time, we just started kind of looking at each other and saying, well, this is kind of neat. So
Aw. So she came.
Several years later, we were married. Now, Kitty is also one of the co-founders of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That's beautiful.
And I tell this little story that after our first official wish, I told our board someday we're going to be international and national granting wishes all over the world. And they all laughed at me except one lady, and that was Kitty. And I got my wish 3 years later when she said I do.
Oh,
Like that. Oh, the ladies go.
that's so beautiful. That's why I asked the question. I had no idea what the answer was. I'm glad that you didn't say you're still
thick and thin, especially supporting my career as a police officer, but also traveling all over for Make-A-Wish when we were doing it. And such a presence on camera. But she just finally said, "It's your thing now."
Oh,
Such a presence on camera.
that's.
In fact, she got chosen to be an extra in the movie.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, so she's got a small part in the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. Is she coming to Secret Knocks this time?
No, she's not.
Okay. Well, one of these days I would love to meet her because I would love to have her side of the story. Which
sometimes she say, I wish I would have let you go to sleep some days, when I was going in the shop. But that's just, we all have those moments.
Right, of course. What would you say is the secret to you guys staying this long together? How many years have you been married?
35.
35. That's beautiful. So what would you say advice to people who are having tough times with relationships?
Well, always remember to treat people like you'd want to be treated. And I always say, put your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, your husband, whoever we're talking about, on a pedestal. On a pedestal. Like with my wife, I always say, I want to treat her like a queen, because if I'm the king, she's going to treat me like the king.
Right.
So treat her like the queen.
Right.
But just the adventures we've had together. She's so everything from riding motorcycles to snowmobiling to just name it. She's there. She's my partner.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy I asked you that question. I didn't ask Stephanie it was okay, but I did anyways. So we are actually, I think, at the time for a sponsorship break. So we'll be back with Frank Shankwitz, one of the founders, along with his wife, Kitty, for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about how we can get involved and do something that is important and special. But after we hear from the sponsors that make this show possible. So we will be back in 2 and 2. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Okay, jazz lovers, it's time to celebrate with a Catalina Island weekend getaway with jazz greats like Richard Elliott, Keiko Matsui, Dan Siegel, Peter White, and Baja. Don't miss the 32nd Jazz Tracks Festival at the beautiful Avalon Casino on Catalina Island, 2 weekends in October, 11th to the 14th and 18th through the 21st. Tickets are selling out fast, so go to jazztracks.com. That's jazztracks with an X.com today. And we're back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios, where Scandal and Murder, She Wrote are filmed with Universal Broadcasting Radio TV, and then syndicated everywhere on iHeartRadio and KCAA, as well in the Inland Empire. So I am here with a very special guest. I've been trying to nab him, I think, for a year and a half now, since I first met him on a couple of different stages. I think the first stage, actually, Frank, was Power Teams. Do you remember that? There was some award. You were getting an award, I think. You were actually in a wheelchair. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. That was right after I broke my leg, and that was at the Four Seasons Resort.
That's right. That's right. That was the first time. And I made you flash piece, and so it's been great. So
and then we were in Chicago doing an event.
And
too.
then we were in Chicago. I'm glad you raised that, because that's a really great organization. Journey's Dream. Right. And we were at Soldiers Field in Chicago, and you got a ride around the field and I didn't, because somehow I'm not as good looking as you are, but I'm not going to hold that against you.
That was a thrill. That was quite the thrill.
I'm sure.
In the field.
Yeah, I'm sure it was more of a thrill for you, because I didn't even know what sport was played there. But anyways, we're not going to go there. So now, okay, so the movie, you're all over the place speaking. What would you tell people? How can they help? Or what is it that Make-A-Wish now needs more volunteers? Or how does that work? How does a person become a Make-A-Wish Foundation, either donor or helper, supporter, volunteer?
Well, for Make-A-Wish itself, and I always tell people, I'm not pushing just Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
There's so many worthy nonprofits out there that, in fact, the United States is 1.2 million nonprofits. And I encourage people, if they want to get involved with nonprofits, go to charitynavigator.org. Charitynavigator.org. That is a watchdog for nonprofits.
Okay.
You can pull on one you're interested in. That will show you where the money is actually going.
Though that'd be good.
To the mission, or is it going to fancy meals, cars, trips, etc.?
Yes.
But for Make-A-Wish itself, they can go to wish.org.
Okay.
And up in the upper corner, there's what's called a chapter locator. You just put in your zip code, and it will pull up the chapter in your area worldwide, and it will give you all information if you want to get involved with it, being a volunteer, if you want to be a donor. And donor, again, isn't always money. It's just time, in-kind donations.
Right.
I'm also set on the board of several other charities, and one of my second favorites right now is U.S. Vets. And the mission of U.S. Vets, we have a chapter here in my town of Prescott. They have one of the better ratings. 89 cents of every dollar actually goes through the mission, which is almost unheard of in the nonprofit world.
Right.
But our mission is to find the homeless veterans, get them into temporary housing, get them into counseling, job training, job placement, permanent housing. And we're so successful in this area nationwide. But a new nonprofit we're just starting, my friend named Randy Sutton, retired Las Vegas Metro Police Lieutenant, is the Wounded Blue Foundation. And we're just waiting. We should be getting our 501c3. When a police officer is injured in the line of duty, everybody thinks that his medical, everything else is covered. And it's not. He has to use his sick time. When he runs out of sick time, he uses vacation time. When that's over, there's no pay coming in. And we're going to be a nationwide organization that we will start taking care of that officer and his families until he can get back to work. Wow, that's a really great one. Yeah. Does Ryan know about this one? Because Ryan Long, can I haven't talked to him. We're going to be in New York together here towards the middle of September, end of September, and hopefully, because we're just saying, I'm waiting until we get our 501c3 completed. We've been notified by IRS that it's on the way. Awesome. We don't want to do anything kick off until that is. Right. Totally.
totally. But this is right in line with his mission too. And I can't think of a better. This is why I love, I love the fact that you pointed out there are 1.2 million, right, charitable organizations, because a lot of people, they sit and watch the news, which is just actually old, right? CNN, constantly negative news. And they show things that are horrific about humankind, where humans are not so kind. But then you just shake your head and say the world's going to hell in a handbasket, instead of saying, instead of doing that, I mean, there's 1.2 million places that you could choose to take that disgust and actually do something about it, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so much you can do. I'm also a board member of a group out of New York called Candles for Hope. And this is a new nonprofit, and they're going to just Zoom. They're already getting requests. How would you do this all over the United States?
Mm-hmm.
For Hope is they find the children that are in the shelters that are in fact maybe homeless, and they go and they find out when their birthdays are, and they go in and give them a full birthday party. Some of these children never had a birthday party. With the cake, the candles, the gifts that they need, like the socks, underwear, and so on, but also an age-appropriate gift. And it's going so successful, and it's one of those feel-good things. Anything involving children, obviously, our veterans, our first responders, our seniors, homeless, anything like that is a good organization to get involved with.
Absolutely. I'm about to give you another beneficial presence on the planet award. I don't think I've given anyone two, but I mean, it is, Frank, I hope you know, this is why, number one, you didn't die that day, because you're needed here and to do the things that you're doing. I mean, like, here's your mentor is smiling.
It took, like I said, it took several months to recover from that accident. And I also had to go to counseling to make sure that I was fit to go back to duty mentally, physically. And one of the last things the counselor said to me was, Frank, God spared you for a reason. And now it's up to you to find that reason. And it was 2 years later that God introduced me to this little boy.
Wow. There you go. I totally believe in that. It was not your time. You're doing just bundles here, and I am grateful for that. So, funny question. Why do you always wear a cowboy hat?
Well, the real reason is
you have no hair.
What? I have what?
No hair.
No. Lots of hair there.
that was a test, and you passed.
No, being raised on type ranch life, off duty, and so on. Skin cancer, and I've got a lot of skin cancer right now. Before the days of sunscreen were invented.
Okay.
But at several Make-A-Wish events, I was wearing the hat, and the children would start coming up to me asking for a picture wearing my cowboy hat.
Oh, okay.
And that got to be so neat. So now it's a trademark. It's a symbol wherever I go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
It protects me from the sun too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any advice for the young people today? So there's a lot of attention in the news about the apathy or the attitude or the anger of young people, that the divide between generations, your generation, the millennials, before the millennials, after the millennials, and how there just seems to be even a wider communication gap between, whether it's because of technology or not. Do you have any, what are your thoughts? How do we bridge that or get to a place where there's more connection?
That's a hard one, being my age. And I've got
how young are you?
Grandsons and granddaughters that are in that millennial age.
Yeah. How young are you, Frank? Do you mind me asking? How young are you?
I'm 75.
75.
Yep.
You look good.
Thank you. But I see more. Maybe I'm not seeing her. I see, like, locally here, our little town, we're 40,000 people, to the high school areas. I'm seeing more and more of the students getting involved with different things, with raising money. For an example, there was a widow in town, and the city had contacted her about too many weeds in the yard, and it was painting against city codes and so on. The high school class, local high school, got together and spent a full weekend over there, cleaning, raking, painting, just fixing everything up for this lady. And I think that's part of, we're going to see more and more of that. I really do. Social media picked that up, and now more and more kids are looking in the Arizona area at that particular example. And even the local TV stations down in the Phoenix area picked that up and broadcast it.
And I think you just answered the question by giving that example, because what you're doing is you didn't pick up the ball of mine and say, yeah, they're lazy, or they're, I don't know, what the promise of the future is dead or whatever. You highlighted the positive things that generation is doing, which I think is a great strategy that will help us with that divide. If we stop looking for the things that are wrong between both generations and look for the things that are right in both generations, then we're going to be better off.
And hopefully the media will change on that, because they're always reporting the negative. There's so much positive out there that's not being broadcast. How would people know about this if the media doesn't share it?
Yeah. And this is why I do my show. I am so absolutely committed to balancing out all the bad news in the world with some positive news and positive people like Frank Shankwitz, one of the founders of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're almost out of time. I always ask my guests the last question, which is, what or who are you most grateful to?
Wow. I got to have one person?
No, you can, I'll give you 3.
3.
Yeah.
Well, probably I mentioned Juan Delgadillo, who became my mentor when I was 10 years old. The gentleman taught me so much, just so much.
Did he meet you at school? Did he meet you at school?
Pardon?
How did you meet him? How did he pick you out?
Little town of Seligman, 500 people, predominantly Mexican, American Indian. I was one of the few white kids in town, and I'm working as a dishwasher across Old Highway 66. I see a man building something. I walk across the street, and I say, "What are you doing?" He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Frank." He said, "No, from now on it's Pancho," meaning Frank in Spanish.
Oh.
And he said, "Grab a hammer, kid." And what do you mean? Because I had never had a father figure to teach me these type of things. My mother had kidnapped me away from my father. I didn't tell that part of the story. But then Juan became teaching me, like I said, everything from sports, music, things that I had never done before. Carpentry, working on cars, everything like that. The biggest thing was the work ethic, the integrity, the character. Like he said, character and integrity are not inherited, they're developed. And I've always respected that man. And that's why with the movie that I'm so happy that they actually have the character in his name.
That's awesome. And as that's a little teaser, because I'm sure Greg didn't want me to tell the whole thing about the movie on the show. So there's no reason to watch the movie, but you do cover that part. That's another incredible part of your life where you were kidnapped by your mother away from your father. And then I'm not even going to say if you get reunited or not, because we're going to let the people watch the movie to get that. But is there any part of that story that's not in the movie that you can just spoiler alert share?
And it's funny you ask that. You know that anytime you go to a movie theater and it says based on a true story,
yes,
it's a true story. It's Hollywood adding things to it.
Right.
So some areas that are left out, we just don't have the time in a movie, obviously. And then there are some areas that are based, in other words, exaggerated.
Oh, okay.
And we had so much embellished, I guess is a better word. And we had so much fun working on the screenplay because I have script approval on that.
Right.
With the screenwriter, great director, screenwriter, Theo Davies. It took us 2 years. It was a give and take, and we finally both learned how to give and take.
Yeah, because I can imagine you're like, that's not what happened. I want to tell the truth.
and I learned too. I learned in this process. I'm a novice, obviously, but if you did everything as the truth, it's a documentary, and it'll be on the Discovery Channel or Hallmark Channel. It's not a movie.
Right. It's got to have that embellished appeal.
Mhm.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So that's one. Two more people that you're grateful to.
Wow. Again, well, my wife, obviously.
Mhm.
My book Wishman is just being republished. It's going to be out in a couple of weeks with a new publisher, some added stories and that. But like I put in there to my wife Kitty, she found me when I needed to be found and helped develop my future character.
That's beautiful. And so you
And then
wrote
a
the
high
book.
school coach. Well, we could say Greg Reid, but he knows all that anyhow. One of my high school coaches that just kept with me all through high school, helped me out, and then stayed friends over the years.
Oh, that's
Just
beautiful.
following my whole career.
That's great. What's his name?
Cal Cordes.
Cal Cordes. Peace
Cal
in,
Cordes.
peace out.
He's 90 some years old right now.
Wow. Well, we'll make sure he sees this this recording. Yes. Absolutely. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Frank, for joining me. I'm glad I didn't give up on having you on the air and on camera. It's such a delight. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And I'm grateful that you shared your complete story, and it is beautiful, and you are a blessing. Go you're on the internet, Facebook, go like him, go give him the finger, a thumbs up, and make sure you support someone who really walks the talk. Thanks again, Frank Shankwitz.
Thank you.
All right. And we're at the end of the show where I get to invite you to step up to my balance bar. So we'll start with the Asian Oprah giveaway. And yes, it is that time of the year. You all know how much I love jazz. And this year, as usual, Art Good at the Catalina Jazz Festival. He is the founder and the creator and the amazing the most amazing jazz musicians to go take a boat over to the
Frank,
Is he all right?
he's not breathing.
Ever since I was a kid, I've always been on my own.
Frank, get your things or they'll be left behind.
Not going. Dad'll come for me.
Frank! Frank! I never had any reason to care about anyone else. Come here.
Do you always tell people what to do?
Yeah. What happened up at Bullhead?
You stopped breathing for a few minutes.
Maybe you survived the accident to find the meaning of your life.
Michael, he has leukemia. He has this obsession with that television series Chips.
I was really hoping that Michael could have a father figure around last week of his life.
A great man once told me that if somebody needs help, give it to him.
I promise you, I'll get you your winnings.
You'll have to help me, Officer Frank.
Maybe you're helping me.
I failed you, Frank.
No, I never thought that I could make a difference. Why do you keep coming back?
I don't know.
A simple act of kindness can have a ripple effect. We can help other kids one wish at a time. Now, if I can do it, anyone can be a hero.
I'm not a real motorcycle cop.
Yes, you are. And I'm your partner.
And I hope you enjoyed that. I am so normally on Throwback Thursdays, this is a look you've never seen before, I think. I go swimming, and then as the show's playing, I go and get ready for the cameras. And I just loved this interview so much. I just stayed here the whole time and listened again. I miss Frank so much. He is on the other side in heaven. And I so this is from the pool, and I just threw something on so I could come and say hello, and hopefully you really, really enjoyed that interview. And if you haven't seen the Wishman movie, it is a great one to see. It's truly a wonderful way of capturing, both Frank's story and what happened. And it's interesting and also illuminating, on how he's a legacy that is on the other side now. But I'm so grateful that I got to interview him. And one of the best compliments I've ever gotten was from Frank, who after the interview said, "I've been interviewed by a lot of people, but that is one of my favorite interviews, being interviewed." So I'm super duper proud of that compliment for sure. And I am also going to finish off with my now I used to do a balance bar, but now I do something called the gratitude sandwich. You all know what that's all about, where I have breakfast with you. So on Throwback Thursdays, I don't do it first because I want to make sure that you get the full interview. So that is why we're going to do it now. So, what are you grateful for? Top of the bun. 8 things usually is what I do in the morning. I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese. So 8 specific things, because 8 is a homophone for good fortune. And then let's see. On the bottom of the bun, it's 8 things that I like about myself that I want you to do before you go to bed, because that is it'll help you sleep. Instead of criticizing yourself, you're going to actually like yourself, which I believe are the foundation hallmark things that help us with our own mental health. So, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful that I have a pool to go do laps in the morning. I'm grateful that I still enjoy and am so appreciative of the plethora of really important and interesting and inspiring people that I've had on my show this past 674 consecutive weeks. I'm grateful for technology that allows me to capture. I'm grateful for my YouTube TV channel that I've had over 328,000 views now. I just checked this morning. I am grateful that y'all are still with me an hour later. I know that you're listening, and you will share this because it truly is one of the most interesting and inspirational interviews that I've done. Also, I am grateful for all modern medicine. I think, I fell again, but hips don't lie, and back up against the wall, but grateful that there are, we know how, there's so much we have now been able to learn on our health. And for that, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the hot shower that I'm going to have after the show. Because I wanted to be here through the whole interview with you, because it was such a great interview, if I do say so myself. And I'm grateful for the ability to continue with this show. And on the bottom of the bun, what do I like about myself? And again, if we don't improve our ability to like ourselves. We have a tendency to go around looking for love or approval or likes literally on social media. So I want you all to practice this every day. And a lot of us were born with don't toot your own horn. Who do you think you are? In Chinese, there's a saying, the nail that stands up is hammered down. And, that's not real incentive to feel good about yourself, but it's an important practice. So even if you don't believe it, not a blind affirmation. I talked about that on Mental Health Matters Mondays, insecurities. If you missed that show, free subscribe, give me the finger. Thank you very much. Not that one, but it's so important that you know how great you are. You're not perfect. You're not, I'm fabulous 88% of the time, 12% of the time I step in it. But it's so important that we all celebrate the good things that we are. If you don't, and you're your own worst critic, if you get 99 compliments and 1 criticism, and that's where you spend your headspace time, you're not going to have a happy life. And so that's why I ask you to do this part of the exercise. So I appreciate that I am creative. I am resourceful. I am resilient. I am funny. I am funny looking this morning. I am enthusiastic. I am addicted to joy. And finally, I am caring most of the time. So there you go. I am so glad that you spent your morning with me once again. Frank Shankwitz, go watch the Wishman movie. That's the call to action. Go and support. He said, how many nonprofits are out there right now? Quit watching all the bad stuff. And if you care about something, go look at how you can help. Go look at that ratio of how much of the dollar actually goes to the people. I think that's a great ratio, and it will weed out those organizations that are not necessarily helping. So I have a nonprofit that I'll have to go look at while it's 100% goes into, there's no ratio. I don't take a salary from it. Those of you know, all the proceeds from my work go towards my Happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. That's what I'm here about. So 8 Ways to Happiness is the name of that, but there's so many things out there. I usually don't say don't. Find something that you're passionate about. Don't complain about it, but put that energy into volunteering. All right. And that's it for Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. NBC News Radio, home, and number 1 talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. Tomorrow is Straight Talk with Ricky Rebel. So I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9, right after the NBC News. Now go. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.